Grab a cup of tea or a glass of wine and tune in for Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy. On Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern, Linda creates sacred space for leading female luminaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. A soulful venue where guests openly share the fears and obstacles they've overcome, wisdom and lessons learned, and the personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic, soulful living.
Welcome to Inspired Conversations. I'm your host, Linda Joy, Mindset Elevation Coach and publisher of the beloved Aspire magazine, celebrating 19 years of inspiring women to live from the inside out. Be sure to grab your free subscription at subscribetoaspire.com. I don't know about you, but there's been many times in my life where I've craved connection, but didn't want to leave my comfort zone. I think you can relate also, and when we're in that place, life keeps moving forward and we keep saying, one day I will, one day I'll take that vacation, one day I'll follow my dreams, but when? Well, I am so excited to have Tara-jenelle Walsch with me today. She was actually, my friends, the very first guest I had on this show when it started 9 years ago. And I was so excited when she said yes about returning. She's here. We're going to be talking about building self-trust and finding the courage to step back into life after a major transition or life experience. Tara-jenelle is the author of the book Soul Courage and founder of the greeting card company Soulebrate. I still have your cards, my friend. She's passionate about emotional and energetic awareness and a sacred formula which she believes has the ability to enrich the world at large. You can learn more at tara-jenelle.com. Welcome back, my old friend.
Hi, thanks for having me. This is so great. This is so great to reconnect with you.
No, it is. And I've always loved your message, your vulnerability, your truth telling, because, as we all know, life is not always easy, right? And we can lose ourselves. And today we're talking about a few things, but when stepping back into life after a major loss or transition, how to trust the unfolding of life and so much more. So bring us back to a time when maybe you were feeling a little stuck, a little lost, a little bit like I just want to stay in my cocoon and in my comfort zone.
Well, this is going to make me choke up. It still does, it's so interesting revisiting, the thoughts and really feeling into some of the pain that we've experienced. I lost my mom in 2012, which seems like forever ago, but it seems like yesterday, that crazy dynamic of,
Of course.
being so close yet so far away. And it just shifted my whole being, really. I want to say even more than my life. I mean, me, who I was, how I related to the world, and how much of me I actually let out. I felt more preserved. The grief was just unbearable. And I'm a big believer in feeling, as you know. So I did not deny myself that, but really feeling into grief takes courage, and it also takes you kind of out of life for a while, So that was my biggie, losing my mom, and a couple of years later, I lost my beloved pug, who was just my little boy. So
Yes.
I got a double whammy of grief, and it pulled me back, it just pulled me out of life and out of my shine, and just out of grace and connecting and all that for a while.
And I think, Tara Janelle, so many women can relate because there's many times in our life where we have experiences, whether it's the loss of a loved one, like yourself, that we lose ourselves. We lose that spark, that connection to joy, that yearning to have a dream bigger than what we're living in that moment. Did you go through that almost like a disconnection from not just the outside world, but even the little things that brought you joy previously.
Yeah. Well, I went through such a disconnection that when I began to re-enter the world, it felt surreal. Like all my senses were on high alert, and people talking and cars going by, and everything just felt like the volume was up, because my senses were in effect re-entering after being kind of in hibernation and cocooning for a while to heal. And I still, it's interesting, grief. People say, well, it's been 12 years now or whatever. It's not, there's no time limit on grief. There's no time limits on feeling. There's no rights and wrongs. And I still feel the grief. I'm not out. I'm not emerged, I'm not the full butterfly. I'm just color by color. I'm just, little bits at a time, getting some air under my wings, and still feel the grief, but look at it in a different way now, I guess.
Oh, that's a beautiful insight. And I'm so glad that you brought that up because I think so many of us have that expectation on ourselves that, okay, it's been 1 month, 6 months, 5 years, get over it.
Right, right.
Right, whatever that grief is, in your case, the loss of your mom and your little munchkin. And
Mhm.
I think a lot of us put that pressure on ourselves. Well, I shouldn't be feeling this way now. That's such bull. Our feelings are our feelings.
Yeah. I mean, and people actually say that. People actually have said that to me. Well, yeah, it's been 10 years now. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, so in a way, it's almost like you bottle it up even more because you who wants to receive those kind of reactions, right? So do you feel for a while that you kind of pulled back from even being fully honest with your emotions with others for fear that they would say stuff like that?
That's the tricky dance, right, Linda? That is the dance. You want approval, you want acceptance, you want connection. And on the other side, a lot of people don't want to deal with heavy things like grief or, um, you know, just any emotion that is a lower vibration. A lot of people don't want to carry that of yours because they're already carrying their own stuff, right? So when you're around them, it's always this like, should I match their energy in order to be able to stay in the room? It's this constant choice we're being given. Or should I just be true to myself? I've done both. I've energy matched just to stay in the space, just to be adored and loved, and connect, still connecting with people and friends and family. But then I've later reflected on it when I've laid down to bed at night. That's not where I'm at. And I had the thought, well, maybe I privately grieve and I don't need to share it with everyone. No, you don't, but it doesn't mean you have to mask who you are in that moment.
Oh, I love that statement. We don't have to mask who we are because I think we're taught at such a young age, or I'll speak for myself, it was um, don't show anger, don't show grief, like get over the sadness. Like I was told how to feel. So
Mm,
what happens when you hear that from a young age is you start to put each of your emotions in little boxes and hide them away.
mm-hmm.
Right. So I think sometimes, like when you share your grieving moments with a friend or a loved one, I think their reaction is really a reflection of their ability to process grief and not a reflection of us who may still be in grief. Does,
Absolutely.
do you feel that too?
Oh, absolutely. And and ironically, it's the same with joy. When you're in a really great space of joy, if you share it with another and they're not in that space, it's almost like they don't want to carry it. Some people, it all depends on, who you're with, because it's a reflection of what they either don't have in their life or striving to have more of, or something. But at some point, we have to find that balance of not just doing that dance and that energy matching and just being true to where we are.
I think that's beautiful. And one of the other things, I want to share with our listeners is grief comes in all forms. For many years, because of the way I was raised, I thought grief was only experienced as as you just shared, through the loss of a loved one. I associated grief with the passing of someone. And what I
Hmm.
realized from diving deep into my own grief of different things that have happened in my life is grief can happen after any major life transition. Like I have a friend who was loved her job and she was a career woman for 25 years. It became her identity. And when they suddenly let her go, she went into a deep grief spiral because
Hmm.
her whole identity was that. So she was grieving the loss of identity and didn't know how to move forward.
Yes.
Do you feel that too? The grief and transitions, it's all like
It's so complex. I totally
yeah.
agree. And you know what is interesting? This is a little throw one more little pinch of ingredient into the stew. Grief, grief can also come from not having something, not having been experienced something. Like I've had a lot of grief around not having children, for instance. So it's not only about something that has happened, as you mentioned, the death of a loved one or a dear pet, but sometimes things that don't happen that we have our hearts set on ever since we were little girls, or that we're wishing for or dreaming about, and it doesn't happen, and there's grief there.
And it's so I think the more conversations like this that women have access to when they're in the midst of it, they'll know they're not alone. They'll know it's okay. They'll know that there is light at the end of the tunnel and they're going to find their way to that when they're ready.
Yeah.
And in that it's a journey, right? It's a journey. Okay, I'm coming out of the grief. Whoops, I'm back in again. That's not
Yes.
like it's okay. It's okay. And that's what I want this conversation to portray. And Tara-jenelle, we're going to take our first break. We'll come back. We're going to continue this sacred conversation. I want to invite everyone to stay with us and also give you Tara-jenelle's URL, which is tara-jenelle.com. We'll be back in a moment, my friends.
Connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
Are you ready to create and live the divinely guided life intended for you? A life not bound by your past or tied to a specific future. A life beyond your fears and what ifs that is filled with limitless possibilities. Experiencing an empowered life of fulfillment, joy, and connection is possible when you embrace a spiritual solutions-centered lifestyle. Through her transformational teachings and programs, Lisa Hermata, empowered Life View Guide, life transformation mentor, and founder of Love is the Seed, empowers women to break the barriers holding them back from living their sacred truth so they can find greater connection with their inner wisdom and their divine source to co-create a life that brings peace, joy, and self-acceptance. Visit loveistheseed.com for positive guidance and valuable resources to support you in embracing an empowered life view.
Consistently attract soulmate clients, begin showing up on brand, monetizing on your calling. Welcome all spiritual coaches, leaders, healers, light workers, and practitioners to a show that turns you on in your business and amplifies your magnetism. I'm host, catalyst, and spiritual business coach Rosalind Fung, and I'm here to journey with you into the juicy and help you discover where the real gaps are. Ignite your mindset and soul with strategies and systems as each episode takes you to the sweet spot that activates your soulgasmic business by tuning in on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Mountain. Join me for your light language activation and let's magnetize and monetize.
Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
Welcome back. You're listening to Inspired Conversations. I'm your host, Linda Joy, and with me today is the author of the book Soul Courage, Tara-jenelle Walsch. So, Tara, we're just talking about, the journey of grief and all the different ways, and it can reach us, and none of us are immune to this, right? Because it's part of the human experience.
Exactly.
And in some of your writing that I read on your blog and our personal conversation, you use the phrase a lot about stepping back in, right? So when I read that, I have a vision and energetic imprint of what it means, but I want to hear what it means to you about stepping back in.
Stepping back in, it's like it's that voice inside when, maybe you're safe and you're comfortable and you're in your comfort zone um, for just a little bit too long. And there's a voice inside that's maybe saying, "Hey, how about starting that painting project? Or when are you going to finish that book? Or when are you going to get out more and be with your friends?" Or anything as large or small as you can imagine. But there's a voice that's rooting for you and that's pushing you a little, giving you a little nudge. And you think about it. And sometimes you mull over it. And sometimes you make plans. And plans are great. Planning's great. But there comes a time when, you got to put action behind your thought. No more thinking about it. Stepping out is the action, making an effort and a declaration to yourself that I'm gonna get back out there, whatever that looks like to you.
I love that. So it's like re-entering, right? Re-entering your life and the vision you have for your life.
Yes, yes. Stop playing small, stop being in hiding. Not stop, but just realizing you always have choice, right? It's just I hate to keep using I don't want to say the word hate, but like the typical analogy with the cocoon and the butterfly, but it's so true. It's just so perfect for this. At some
It
point,
truly is. It really is, because think about it, as I said at the beginning, when we go through a grief process of any kind, that's exactly what we do, isn't it? We
yes,
cocoon, we
yes.
close off our senses, we go within, we want to feel nurtured, love. It's like that. Like I'm actually curling up as I'm talking, like inside that little cocoon. So I think that's a beautiful analogy. And it isn't always easy though, right? We might have the intention of, okay, I'm ready to step back into my life, my career, maybe a new relationship after being hurt and grieving
Mhm.
a previous one. But it doesn't mean it's simple, does it?
Oh, goodness, no. It can be scary as anything. It can be, I mean, scary sounds childish, but it really can be fearful. That's why it takes courage. I like to say it takes soul courage because really it's a courage that's not about just being brave, closing your eyes and jumping in the pool and, plugging your nose. It's not that kind of braveness. It's the kind that comes from deep within, from the part of you that knows who you really are and knows that you deserve more, that you deserve love and light and happiness and all around you, the connection and being seen and shining and loving. So it's that kind of courage. It's that kind of inner inner push.
Yeah, I call it, it's like for me, it feels like a soul nudge, right? Like,
Mm.
even though my mind, my ego, my smaller self goes, that doesn't even make sense, girl. My deeper part of myself says, don't listen to her. I've got
Mm.
you. And I
Yeah.
always find that, I love your words, soul courage, to take just the next step. I don't have to know the whole path. That was the biggest thing for me as a recovering micromanager of the divine. I
Hmm.
remember years ago saying, show me the full path, A through Z, with every step I need to take, and then I'll take action.
Right.
Because, a little bit of control freak stuff there. And I had to learn to trust,
Yeah.
which was I think, a big soul lesson for me after a lot of trauma at childhood. It was learning to trust the wisdom of my soul, myself, and also that the divine, the universe, God, all that is, has my back.
Hmm.
Have you gone through that thing too of deepening your trust in really the truth of who you are?
Absolutely. I think, like you're saying, having to know the plan and having to have an outline of and reviewing everything. I've come to know myself as when I start doing that as well, it's a little bit of a stalling mechanism, but it also is a slight sniff of you're getting ready, girl. You're getting ready. you're starting to roll it out, Now put your toe in the water. Now dip in, start small. Start now though. Start now. You don't have to do any big, you know, grandiose things and be so fearful about it. Just do something small every day, once a day. Then you do two things a day, and then three, or a week even, But then the momentum builds up. And that is ironically how we learn to trust ourselves. Trusting can't, my experience, doesn't just come from being in the mind, but from demonstrating who we are outwardly, physically, expressing ourselves and bumping into opportunities with others and with life that show us, yeah, yeah, you got this. That's what builds self-trust for me. It's like a muscle.
Oh, I 100% agree. And I love what you said about dipping the toe in the water. Um, so many of us, and I believe this too, is like I have to go big or go home. You know how we're raised, it depends how
Oh,
you're
yeah.
raised, but go big or go home.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so what happens is it keeps many of us who are wired differently than that stuck because we're too fearful to go big. And
Yep.
so I loved your example of just put your toe in the water, take the next step towards whatever it is. If you want to write a book, buy a notebook. That's step one, right?
Yeah.
Buy
Yeah.
a journal, something towards the direction you want to go. So for me, that's how I've changed my whole life. If you asked me back when I was a welfare mom, runaway, high school dropout, all of the above, I could never, as the person I was then, ever imagine who I am now. Not what I do for a living, just the joy I have in my heart, the gratitude I have is a night and day difference from the way I used to live. Fearful, constricted, um, kind of I'll be honest, a little afraid of life, a little afraid of being vulnerable, a little afraid of being seen. I'm going back 30 years, but I can remember those deep emotions of being so fearful. Is that kind of what you went through when you were in that cocoon after the loss of your mom? Like you shut yourself off from the world. Was it, you think it was a protection mechanism or just a part of how you process grief?
Probably all. I think it
Yeah.
was there's some protection, there's some preservation, I wanted to preserve, so many layers, honestly. There was probably I wanted to explore even. I wanted to explore the feelings and everything that was coming through my body and my heart and my mind and reflection, even reflection on all the beautiful experiences that I had with my mother and my dog, or whatever anyone's situation would be, in a relationship, or um, just all of it, just filled, layered.
Yeah, it just I just wish we all learned how to be more gentle with ourselves on the journey. I've gone through some difficult times in my life, as everyone listening has. And I look back with wiser eyes now and like, why I was so hard on myself while I was in the midst of the healing or grief or the transition.
Hmm.
And I'm hoping this conversation with you helps women see we're going to have more compassion for ourselves and where we are. Did you
Absolutely.
did you struggle with that too? Did you judge your grief journey through as you were on it?
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah.
I, I
I hear that so often.
hmm I
Like you
was
should be
I,
over this now or move on, just get over it. And all that internal talk that kind of breaks my heart.
Right. I think someone once said to me, or I once read somewhere, something like the grief will always be within you. It becomes part of you. It changes form. And that, in an odd way, some might think, oh, that's depressing, but in an odd way, that relieved me because it relieved me of the thought that I had to get over it. I had to give away that grief, that there was a time limit and the clock was ticking. I realized I could just tuck that away in my heart, and that's just a part of me, a part of what I've gone through. And it doesn't mean it has to rule and run. who I am in my life and how much I put myself out there. It just means it's tucked away and I can revisit whenever I want.
Mm, it's a powerful
Doesn't that
message.
sound in an
Yeah, I
odd way,
think,
kind of? Hmm?
yeah, it's a beautiful way of looking at it. And before we go to the next break, that story just reminded me, like energetically, I just got this message. I think sometimes, and I can't speak for everyone, I'll only speak for myself. There was a time I went through a deep grief journey, and I remember thinking, if I let go of this grief, it's like I'm going to forget them, or I'm
Hmm.
going to forget the memories, or I'm going to forget the love. So I kind of, that was like 25 years ago, the experience that I'm thinking of in the moment. I had this fear that if I needed to hold on to this deep grief to kind of show they mattered, and the truth is that I've discovered is the grief doesn't keep them here. That's part of my personal journey. Their memories, their love can never be separate from me because I'm the essence of, we were the essence of each other's lives.
Hmm.
You go through that too, that the grief helped you hold on to memories? Did you ever have that thought process as I did?
I think it shifted a lot of my thought, just as you mentioned, that it's not, I have heard that too, and I felt that too, that, oh, if you're not grieving as much, that must mean you didn't care, or that must mean you're letting go of that
That's
person.
bold.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I think the grief changes form, as I mentioned earlier, and I do believe that it stays with you, but in a way that conforms with you and grows with you, not in a way that holds you down
Yeah.
like an anchor in the sand, in a way that just honors, your journey, your journey.
I love that. I love how you beautifully explain that. We're gonna take our next break. When we come back, I want to talk more about soul courage, what it means. I know you have a beautiful book about it. Just to give our listeners an idea, because when you first released that book and we had you on the show and all that, just the title really spoke to me and how I want to live. So let's revisit that, my friend. We'll be back in a moment, my friend. You can learn more about Tara-jenelle Walsch at tarajanelle.com. Be sure to check out her book, Soul Courage, and her greeting card company, Soulebrate. All can be found at tarajanelle.com. We'll be right back.
The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. Times Radio. IOM FM.
You don't have to identify as a creative to reap the benefits of a daily creativity practice. Even 15 minutes a day offers a wealth of benefits to your emotional, physical, social, and spiritual well-being. As a natural-born teacher and facilitator, Cindy Winsell consciously merges her 35 years as an educator with her in-depth training as a certified creative depth coach, certified Zentangle teacher, soul collage facilitator, journey circles facilitator, and moon circles guide to empathically and joyfully guide women to tap into their creativity through expressive arts as tools for healing and transformation. Cindy works with women ready to step into creative exploration as a tool for healing. Together, you will develop your own exciting insights and approaches that will help you awaken to possibility. Visit cindywinsell.com for creative classes and more.
If I could be you,
and you could be me,
for just 1 hour.
if you could find a way,
To get inside.
each other's mind.
walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in
my
my
shoes.
shoes.
We've all felt left out, and for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of Times Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of Times. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. Times Radio. IOM FM.
Welcome back, my friends. Thanks for circling up with me and my special guest, Tara-jenelle Walsch. So, when you had the vision to write Soul Courage, um, what did those words mean to you? And what do they still mean to you today?
Means something that that does not have to be crafted, does not have to be found. It means something that's within each and every one of us, and an innate strength, an innate relationship that you have with who you really are, not just the physical form that we're living in, but who you are beyond that. Means a bravery that honors this journey of your life, all of it, and allows yourself to be present through it and to feel through it and express those feelings. And it just means all of it. It means being vulnerable. It means feeling your joy and your pain, and not hiding, not choosing approval over authenticity, or comfort over growth, or retreat over resilience. Not choosing the easy way or the comfortable way, but just knowing in your heart you're more, and feeling into it and expressing that. There's no really one answer. I think everyone kind of might know what it means when they hear the word soul courage, I would hope, but it's so much to me. As you know, that's why I wrote a book about it.
Yeah, and it was a sacred reminder when that book came out. It was a reminder of, for me, myself too, because I was going through a transformation, inner transformation, and the message came to me at the exact right time. So thank you for that, my friend.
Yeah.
And you talked about, well, in my intro, I talked about a sacred formula, and then you do share about it in Soul Courage. Let's talk about that. What is the sacred formula that you talk about in your book?
Well, the sacred formula is actually something that I've kind of been glazing over through our conversation. It's something that I discovered when I reached deep within at a moment of one of my moments of grief. And it was, and the sacred formula is feel, express, connect. And as it means exactly what it is, that when we have the courage to really feel into the moment, whatever that is, we can be completely alone. But so if we are feel into our grief, would be a good example, since we're talking about that. Or feel into a moment of, if you're with a friend and you have an argument, the courage to not be defensive or turn your eyes away, but to just listen and be present and feel into the other person's, what they're saying, into your feelings, into that moment, to have the courage to do that. And then to express whatever your expression is, I mean, whatever your feelings are, excuse me, but in an authentic, loving way. And that can be expressing yourself freely, at the canvas and painting, or it can be sitting down and looking someone in the eyes and expressing your heart so openly and so vulnerably. Or it can just be, expressing yourself through putting yourself out there, even online. It doesn't always have to be an intimate experience, but it's an experience that's always intimate to your soul and to you. And it becomes intimate because it creates the third part of the sacred formula, which is connect. If we're walking through nature, I have found I feel more connected with the universe and God, or the divine. And if I'm with someone, I always invariably feel more connected to that person after I'm honestly feeling and expressing myself with them. So that's the formula.
And what I love about it is the simplicity of it. When it's easy to remember the formula, because as you said, self-explanatory. So when we're in that moment or in that energy, to be able to just drop in and go, okay, feel, express, connect.
Yeah.
It makes it doable. Sometimes we are giving formulas, frameworks, etc., that in the moment we can't possibly remember it. This I could see embodying this
Yeah.
formula.
Absolutely. We can pull back inside and we can just take a deep breath and say, okay, feel into this moment, and just offer that opportunity to ourselves, not make ourselves do it, just offer the opportunity. And sometimes it's too scary to feel. That's where the courage comes. Sometimes I've actually said to another, I can't quite express my feelings right now, but I have a lot going on and swirling around. I mean, even that is a form of expression, and that is a form of feeling. So any little bit that you can squeak out, is courage, takes courage.
It does take courage. And one of the things I noticed, because on your newer website, is these gorgeous paintings, Tara-jenelle.
Yeah.
I'm like, I remember, like, we've been connected for a while, so I remember the Soulebrate cards, and I knew that that was all part of your creative process. But I'm like, girl, look at these paintings. So I bring it up because was painting part of your healing journey?
Yes.
I could feel, I said,
Yes.
yeah.
I started painting after my mom passed away. I have no idea what drew me to it. I just went out in the garage, and I don't even know how I had painting supplies. I might have gone and gotten something, but my first few paintings were nothing. It was literally just putting color on canvas and moving color around and feeling the therapeuticness of just expressing myself in that way. And it became something I just went to. It became so healing for me to just create these abstracts that were my feelings on the canvas, basically. And yeah, I got to tell you, I was scared to, if we're going to be vulnerable here, I was really nervous to put my paintings on my website. It took a lot of encouragement from my friends to do that, um, to step back in. That was part of me really showing up to myself. Stop hiding, because for years I've been painting, and I have stacks of paintings in my studio, and I'm scared to share them. Why? Why am I scared? This is part of who I am. I mean, maybe they're not professional paintings or exquisite or this or that, but it's me sharing a bit of my soul, a bit of my inside.
I thought they were beautiful. I was
Hmm.
scrolling the site, I'm like, oh, we are talking about this because I believe creativity in itself, however that manifests, is a powerful healing and transformational tool. I've always
Hmm.
believed that. I have a creative spirit, so it's always supported me. But what I find is I'm surrounded by a lot of creatives. It manifests for them in different ways. And a lot of them have that same wound and use the same word you did. I was afraid to show what it was I was creating. And I'm
Hmm.
like, oh, goodness gracious, I wonder where this comes from. It's that fear of judgment, right? That fear of comparison. Do you have an idea of where that deep fear came for you? Like the energy behind it? Was it judgment you were afraid of? Was it, who am I to put this out? Like
Yeah, there was a
that's a
lot
big
of
one.
things behind it. It was a little loaded. The first thing was just being completely vulnerable. I mean, when we're kids, right, we'll take crayons to things, and we're like running home with them and putting them on the refrigerator. Mommy, look what I did, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a little different. Things change when we grow up. As you mentioned, we're told what to do and what not to do and how to do it. And we have to slowly navigate back to our soul, back to what really feels good, back to ourselves, and just do it anyway. And I guess what felt good for a while was to be in hiding, but then it stopped feeling good. I started feeling lonely with it. I started feeling like I wanted to connect through it, um, and with it, with my creativity, with others. So, but yes, I didn't had fears around, well, people are going to judge me and say, yeah, oh, look at this, or who does she think she is, or oh, come on, that, or any and everything just enters the mind when you're a little shaky rabbit, just
And what
trying to
has
come out.
changed internally for you since you put them up? Did you feel a shift within of since you made that soul courage move, right, to place them on the website? Did it provide you a healing or a moment?
It did, yeah. It was relief almost. I just chose, instead of worrying about so much how it would be received, I just try to shift my focus around, like, how am I going to feel about myself when I put these out? Am I going to feel like freedom? this is something that excites me. This is something I'm passionate about. I want to be freeing and exciting to share it with others. I try to focus on that, and there was a feeling of actually progress, a feeling that kind of was like, yeah, you did it. And that doesn't mean that it won't ebb and flow, if I don't get any bites on it or no one relates to it. Maybe I'll revert every now and then and feel a little sheepish. My little girl will come out, but overall, I feel like, hey, I got to just put myself out there and put love out there and share. That's what we're here for, right? To experience
Yeah.
all of
So
it.
it sounds like you putting them on your website was you putting your toe into the water.
I was putting that was a little bit more than one toe for me. Me
Well,
redoing the website in general was definitely one big foot forward. It sounds silly, people redo their website all
no,
the time, but
it's
mhm.
really big because I talk and teach on sacred visibility and the wounds that keep soul-aligned entrepreneurs, coaches, artists, etc., from shining their light. And a lot of wounds come up when it's time for us to create a website that says, here I am. And when we really, the little girl inside is like, no, don't shine the spotlight. So I've gone through my own healing and journeys every time I dove deeper into bringing the truth of who I am into my brand.
Mhm.
So I so get that. And Tara-jenelle, we're going to take our last break and come back for the last 10 minutes. I almost lost track of time because I'm enjoying our conversation. My friends will be right back. Please visit Tara-jenelle at tara-jenelle.com. Everything's in the show notes below on the platform that you are listening to. We'll be right back, my friends.
The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. Times Radio. IOM FM.
It's time to create space for you in your life instead of squeezing it in after you take care of everyone else. If you're feeling overwhelmed, burned out, and resentful, those signs are letting you know it's time for emotional first aid. Mindfully integrating 3 decades of nursing experience, Dawn Michelle Jackson combines her empathic insights with her expertise as an advanced grief recovery method specialist and infinite possibilities trainer to help women heal their hearts, transform their lives, and rediscover joy. During her nursing career caring for children, veterans, trauma, and surgical patients, Dawn discovered the intricate connection between the mind and body. Today, with a compassionate approach, she expertly guides women to attain mind, body, and spirit wellness through her coaching, books, and retreats. Learn more at dawnmichellejackson.com.
More than 24 million Americans have an autoimmune disorder, and that number continues to grow. I'm Sharon Saylor, and I'm one of those 24 million. To put that number in perspective, cancer affects about 9 million and heart disease up to 22 million. That's why I've brought together top experts and those thriving regardless of their diagnosis to bring you the latest, most up-to-date information. Join me, Sharon Saylor, Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, for the Autoimmune Hour on Life Interrupted Radio to find out how to live your life uninterrupted.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Free your mind with Times Radio. IOM FM.
Welcome back. You're listening to Inspired Conversations. I'm here with Tara-jenelle Walsch, author of the book Soul Courage and founder of the greeting card company Soulebrate. And I want to take a moment in the last segment to talk about Soulebrate because I know this sounds a little fresh, but there were some cards that I didn't want to give to other people because remember I got a bunch of cards and there were some I framed. I had one on my altar before we moved. We've moved houses. Yeah, and I was like, no, I don't want anyone to have this one. This one's for me. They're like artwork, but they're all inspiring. You've had that company, well, for as long as I've known you. So Are you still creating new cards, or that's your collection? I know you do wholesale, or you're in retail establishments. Tell us about Soulebrate.
Right. Yeah. Well, I haven't created new cards in a couple of years, and this is a part of also stepping back in for me because I love Celebrate. Celebrate was born from, once again, probably just from me wanting to share and express. It was born really, I'll give you a little snippet, because I went through a deep depression and I had an eating disorder and I went down hard. And when I came out, I noticed a lot of people were awkward about how to embrace someone after, a time of darkness. Someone may get divorced, and what do their friends say? Oh, someone dies, and what do their friends say? Oh, they had a good life, or it'll be okay, or you just need time. People, we're going back to the beginning of the conversation, right? We were talking about energy matching and the choice and people not being able to look at themselves. So at any rate, I noticed I was feeling all these things and I wanted a certain kind of support and feedback, but people weren't there. So I just started therapeutically creating cards, like kind of how I did with the paintings way back then. This is in 2004 when I started the company. And just writing things that I wanted to give to others or that I wish people would give to me, and designing from my heart, just color and shapes. And that's kind of how it all started. And I'm trying to bring that back. I want to bring that back out.
Oh, I'm so happy that you are because, it says Celebrate greeting cards are committed to authentic expression, connecting and celebrating all of life. And you have everything from empowerment to issue to consoling to encouragement, but the artwork is stunning. So I am so excited, my friend, that you are going to be that you're open to creating even more Soulebrate cards because your creativity is just stunning, and the intention and messaging that comes through on those cards are truly, they need to get out there. So
Oh,
again, everyone, Tara-jenelle.com. You can find out about Soulebrate there, or you can go to Soulebrate, and I'm going to spell that for you. SOULEBRATE.com, and you will see what I'm talking about, my friends.
I want to mention something real quick. Do we have
Of
a moment
course,
more?
of course.
Uh, this is something that I personally struggled with more in the past, but I actually still a little struggle with it still. So I'm not, acting as though I know how to master this, but I definitely think it's important to say, especially in regards to stepping back into life and into ourselves and all that. I think an important part of it is embracing the imperfections that we may stumble across, embracing the resistance that we may hear in our mind, embracing the things that may not turn out the way we thought, and to just to let ourselves be a little awkward with getting back in and just try things. And if they don't work out, what did work out within that trying? And to remember, and this is so hard for me sometimes, but that the goal is not perfection, that it's participation, that it's about starting, and that it's about sharing and shining, and to just let ourselves try new things and go with it, and to celebrate the trying of it, not just celebrate the wins. So yeah, I just wanted to add that because it's not always easy, as we've been discussing.
No, and I got to tell you, if I got quiet, it's because I believe there are no accidents. I own Inspired Living University. It's a virtual campus for women. And just this morning, every month I tape a affirmations audio. They get a video also, and then they get a stunning post-it. And guess what it was about?
Embracing your
Releasing perfectionism and trusting yourself. But all the affirmations were about, it isn't about the outcome, it's about the journey.
Yeah.
Like what you just so beautifully said, I think is a message we all have to hear, because this world and the media and social media is like all these faux images of perfection. We are not. I love to say I'm divinely imperfect, and I tell my clients, take divinely imperfect action. Stop waiting for things in life or in a situation to be perfect, because guess what? You'll be waiting forever because there is no perfection.
You got that right, Linda. And I actually have an article on my website under my blog called Perfectly Imperfect.
Oh
And
my
it's
God.
exactly about what you're talking about. And I honestly, the more real we are, I think the more relatable we are to others. And the more relatable we are, the more connected we are, because people can see themselves in us when we fumble or we, try, or when we're just real. But when we're so perfectly airbrushed and perfect in every way, not just physically, but emotionally and intellectually, when we're so scripted and everything's perfect, no one can relate to that. They feel like they're striving for that and they'll never be good enough. But golly, let's just connect with relatable, right?
Oh, authenticity to me, authenticity, vulnerability,
Yeah.
are the key to, I think, human connection, real connection, not
Yeah.
the shallow connection. So I love that message, my friend. I love this whole conversation. We got 2 minutes left. So
Oh,
I know, because her and I, we could keep going. There's
yeah.
another phrase you use, which I love. I love the language you use in your writing, and you call it socialize. And so instead of socialize, it's the word soul at the beginning. I'm curious, as we come to a close, what does that mean to you, especially now that you're dipping your toe back in the water of life? What does it mean to you?
It means letting that invisible wall down. And everyone knows what I'm talking about. It's
Oh, yeah.
especially when we go out into the world, even if you're walking through the grocery store, letting that invisible wall drop, being present and being energetically accessible to others, not just turning your head or looking down, offering yourself, being generous, looking people in the eyes and saying, "How you doing today?" And not being scared they're going to think you're making a move on them, or they're going to think you're weird, but being your just real, authentic expression of who you are without the fears, and watching as the more energetically and emotionally available and open you are, that others follow suit and they become the same, and you instantly feel this connection. You start laughing with the checkout teller or whatever, and you're like, "Oh my God, that was the cutest, fun, most fun little thing." When you're walking out, I totally felt like I want to be her friend now, because it's like you starting this domino effect. Who's going to go first, right? Life is always about who's going to go first, and let's do it. It takes courage. It does. It can be a little scary to do that, but once again, it's that relatability and that authenticity.
Yeah, and something you said too, you mentioned the word energy. For me, it's like, who do I want to be in the world? And I have chosen, I wasn't always this way, Tara-jenelle. I have chosen, I want to be love, I want to be light, I want to be joy. So in my interactions, that's the intention I hold. And what you said earlier is about taking that wall down. In my younger years, I had that energetic wall up because I wanted to protect myself, because I couldn't trust things in my childhood. So of course, that was I guess, my norm. And finally, I can remember, I'll say this quick because we're at the end. I can remember being in therapy back when I was 30, and I'm 60, going to be 63, just for context. And I love this woman. Her name was Linda too. And she said, "I want you to write about your emotions." I'm like, "Oh, no, you don't." And this is really vulnerable, what I'm going to share. I couldn't name them. I couldn't say I'm so angry about my childhood. So I named the personality red and white. But part of this story was, I remember writing, if red ever makes it over this brick wall, this energetic barrier that I had put up in my life, all hell's going to break loose. Like I was trying to control the emotions and feelings instead of feel them, which goes back to the beginning of our conversation. So I love what you said. It's about really soul connecting with people without that wall up.
Yes.
Without, like when I finally got over that wall in therapy and in my own healing journey, it was like, oh my God, I kept myself behind this wall for years, and what's on the other side is so beautiful and fun and bright. But I was so afraid to feel that I kept red, the anger, all the other emotions that I didn't want to deal with. It was so freeing to put that wall down. Now I believe, I energetically feel, I don't have a wall up. So what happens? I attract the most beautiful souls to
That's
me
right.
because they can feel
Yep.
our authenticity, truth, our energy, and more than that, our heart.
And they want to play. They want to come out and play. And it's
Oh
like,
my God, everyone says to me, you attract the most amazing people. I go, well, you can too.
yes,
It
yes.
isn't Linda, it's an
No,
energy. It's
that's
I
exactly
want
right.
to continue keeping my channel clear. And listen, life has dealt me a lot of blows, especially in the last 6 years, but I choose to look at them. It's all happening for me. It's
Yes.
not against me.
Yep.
And girl, we could keep this conversation going.
I know. Good golly. I could just put a pot of coffee on and sit here for another 2 hours.
Yes, we could, my friend. And I want to invite everyone, please visit Tara-jenelle at tara-jenelle.com. Everything is in the show notes. Tara-jenelle, thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Linda. Oh, it's been so great to reconnect. And thanks anyone and everyone who's listening with an open heart. And I wish everyone well on their journey forward.
Thank you. And until next time, my friends, choose love, choose joy, choose happiness. Blessings, everyone.
Thanks for listening to Inspired Conversations with publisher Linda Joy. Join our sacred space every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern and meet leading female visionaries, empowering authors, heart-centered female entrepreneurs, coaches, and healers. Inspired Conversations with Linda Joy is a soulful venue where guests share the obstacles they've overcome, along with wisdom and lessons learned on their personal journey that led them to the transformational work they do in the world. Inspired Conversations to empower you on your path to authentic and soulful living.